The expanded child tax credit helps ensure 3.6 million American children, 3.6 million American children are no longer living below the poverty line. And what does that mean? When a child is raised above the poverty line, their horizons are transformed. It actually saves an incredible amount of taxpayer dollars. For every dollar we spend bringing a child above the poverty line, we return $7 back to our economy, but there's deeper than that. There is a moral urgency. Children below the poverty line have so many more challenges. Their horizons are constrained. Their life outcomes are lessened. Above the poverty line, our children start to exhibit their genius. Children raised above the poverty line, they have higher lifetime earnings. They have lower medical costs. Children above the poverty line are less likely to go to the hospital, less likely to get in trouble with the police. Children above the poverty line have less inhibitions to their contributions to this country. I too, like my dear friend, Senator Brown, have heard lots from people in my state about what this little bit of money in their bank accounts, how that little bit of investment makes a transformation in the lives of those families. Take Kelly in Pittman, New Jersey. She was forced to quit her job when her children's school and daycare closed due to the pandemic. She hasn't been able to return to work without reliable child care, and the child tax credit is helping her family. It's helping to make up costs that were lost when she lost her income. It's helping her provide for her children. It's that little bit of help by returning those tax dollars. What she's paid in, she's getting more out now, and helping that family. Take Stacy in Kearney, New Jersey. The child tax credit payments were a, quote, lifeline and helped her and her husband keep their family afloat during this pandemic, during this crisis. She was indefinitely furloughed, and Stacy used those payments to send her two daughters back to preschool. Well, we know, the evidence is in, sending her two daughters back to preschool mean her children will do better in school, more likely to go to college, higher lifetime earnings, more success that inures to the benefit of us all as a society. Senator after senator on both sides of the aisle has thousands of these stories about what getting more of their hard-earned tax money back means. In a nation where we have seen the tax cuts of the last decade inure overwhelmingly to the richest of the rich, this was the first tax cut in my lifetime, the biggest of the tax cuts in my lifetime, that went overwhelmingly to middle-class families, working-class families, low-income families. And now it sits on a precipice. As many of you are aware, tomorrow is the last day that these payments are scheduled to go out to families like Kelly's and families like Stacy's and families of millions of families across this country. The changes we made to the child tax credit will expire. Struggling Americans, working Americans, middle-class Americans will not receive that payment in January unless this body acts. To prevent this from happening, to make sure that families continue to get more of their tax dollars back and have greater security, hope in challenging times, Congress can pass the Build Back Better Act, which includes the extension of the child tax credit payments, which are lowering costs for American middle class, working class, and low-income families. Now, I know there's concerns being raised about the Build Back Better legislation today, but I urge my colleagues to understand the high cost of inaction. First and foremost, letting this program will expire will raise costs from families at the very worst time. With the cost of gas and groceries going up, a tax increase, which is effectively what this would mean millions of families in difficult times would have it be harder to make ends meet, to make those kitchen table economics work out. It'll add burdens to people at a time we should be lifting them. at a time that we should be providing relief. And again, it's not just working class families, middle class families. It's children living in that moral obscenity, that dark place within our society that's termed child poverty. The cost of inaction for all those children, the cost to our society overall of having children grow up to poverty is $1.1 trillion. $1.1 trillion. That's what poverty costs. But there is a moral cost that's greater than that. There is a moral obscenity that we are experiencing right now, a stain on the soul of our nation, that we have, without this tax credit, the highest child poverty rates of all of our industrial peers. This is a moral moment in America. Our inaction will plunge our nation back with millions of families facing crisis. We have seen this body act in difficult times before. We've seen us invest in people. We've seen us stand up for children. My worry now is that tomorrow will be the last day unless we stand up and act. I join my colleagues, Senator Brown, Senator Bennett, join my colleagues, Senator Kaine, Senator Warnock, in calling us to meet this moment, to meet the moral urgency of now, and to please make sure that before this body leaves for the holidays, that those families who are in stress and economic strain, those families who are worrying about what will happen next month, that we show them that we care, we show them that we are fiscally prudent, and we make the best investment possible in America. It's not a stock or a bond. The best investment we can make is making sure the child tax credit continues, because it is an investment in our children. I yield the floor.
The senator from Virginia.
Madam President, thank you. I'm honored to join my colleagues today to speak about the child tax credit and do something similar to what they've done and just make it personal to families. Today or tomorrow, on the 15th of December, more than 900